There is something moving inside you right now, something you cannot name, cannot explain, and cannot ignore. A quiet force that has been building beneath the surface of your life for longer than you have been willing to admit, slowly dismantling everything that no longer belongs to you, everything that was never truly yours to carry in the first place. And you have felt it. You have felt it in the silence of the night when your thoughts refuse to rest and your chest holds a weight that has no clear explanation. You have felt it in the moment you looked at someone you once loved and realized the connection had quietly hollowed itself out. You have felt it in that strange, almost eerie stillness that came over you when you understood, on a level deeper than words, that the version of yourself you had been performing for the world was finally, completely exhausted. You did not stumble onto this video by accident. Nothing that reaches a Scorpio soul happens by accident. You were brought here. And if you are willing to stay, what unfolds in the next few minutes has the potential to shift something fundamental inside you. My name is Madame Tina. I am a spiritual guide and soul reader who has spent years studying the invisible currents that move beneath human experience, the forces that shape our choices, our wounds, our destiny, and our deepest power. This channel exists for souls who are done with the surface, for the ones who feel too much, who sense what others cannot see, who have survived enough to know that life is asking something greater from them than what they have been giving. And today, what I am bringing to you may be one of the most significant spiritual messages you receive during this entire phase of your journey. What you are about to hear is not a prediction. It is not a list of generic spiritual advice. It is a revelation, a direct mirror held up to the secret and extraordinary power that lives inside you as a Scorpio, and the massive, destiny level transformation that this power is now actively forcing into motion in your life, whether you feel ready for it or not. I need you to stay with me all the way to the end of this video, because the message waiting for you in those final moments is the one your soul has been circling around for a very long time. You will know it when you feel it. If something has been drawing you back to this channel, if these messages keep finding you at exactly the right moment, I want to invite you to subscribe right now before we go any deeper. Every reading, every spiritual transmission, every piece of guidance I create here exists for souls who are in the middle of their most profound and irreversible transformations. When you subscribe, you are not just following a channel, you are choosing to remain connected to the kind of truth that your soul already knows it needs. This is not a casual invitation, it is a spiritual one, and I only extend it to those who are genuinely ready. And before we descend into the depths of what I have to share, I want to ask you something, something personal, something that only you can answer honestly. Think about the last time you went completely and utterly silent, not because you had nothing to say, but because you felt the most untouchable, most guarded part of yourself pulling you inward with a force you could not resist. Away from everyone, away from the conversations, the demands, the performances, away from who you had been trying so hard to be. That silence was not emptiness, it was a message. It was the voice of your deepest self telling you that something had to change, that something was already changing, whether you were prepared to face it or not. Have you felt that pull recently? Are you living inside that silence right now? I want you to tell me in the comments below. Share what that silence has been saying to you, what it has been asking you to release, what it has been protecting you from. Your words matter in this space. Your experience is not too much, not too dark, not too complicated to be held here. This is a place where the full weight of a Scorpio soul is not only welcomed but understood. Write it down, let it out. You are not alone in what you are carrying. Because what you are feeling right now, that heaviness, that restlessness, that quiet sense that something massive is on the verge of shifting, is not confusion. It is not anxiety without reason. It is your soul receiving the signal that the universe has already sent. And the message is this: the old version of your life has reached its limit. The transformation is not coming, it is here. and the power to move through it, to rise through it, has always lived inside you. Before we continue, let me ask you a question. Do you know what moon reading is? It's a personalized astrological reading that reveals how the position of the moon impacts your life, your feelings, and even your biggest dreams. Want to uncover these secrets about yourself? Get your free moon reading now. Just click the link in the description to receive your personal chart in minutes. Take this chance to connect with the stars and start your journey of self-discovery. The Scorpio archetype is one of the most profoundly misunderstood forces in the entire spectrum of human spiritual experience. You have been called intense by people who were afraid of your depth. You have been called too much by people who could not hold the full weight of who you are. You have been told that your silence is cold, that your perception is threatening, that your emotional gravity makes others uncomfortable. And somewhere along the way, in that slow and invisible erosion that happens when a soul is told too many times that it is too much, perhaps without even fully realizing it, you began to manage yourself. You began to filter the full force of who you are through a layer of careful restraint. You poured your fire into containers too small to hold it, into relationships that could not truly receive you, into versions of yourself built more around other people's comfort than your own sacred truth. But the universe does not allow a Scorpio to stay small for long. It is not in the design. It never was. There is a contract written into the very nature of who you are, a soul agreement that reaches far beyond this lifetime, deeper than the relationships you have formed, deeper than the wounds you have survived, deeper than the masks you have worn to make your existence more palatable to a world that prefers depth in manageable doses. And that contract carries a single immovable truth. You did not come here to be understood by everyone. You came here to transform. You came here to descend into the most complex, most painful, most shadowed chambers of human experience, to sit inside the darkness without looking away, and to emerge carrying a quality of light that only someone who has truly suffered, truly surrendered, and truly survived can hold. That is your spiritual function. That is not a curse. It is your most sacred and most terrifying gift. And right now, in this precise moment of your life, the universe is calling that gift forward with an urgency that cannot be postponed or negotiated. Not gently, not through subtle nudges or soft suggestions. It is doing what it always does with Scorpio energy when the time for transformation has arrived. It is forcing the death of what was, so that the resurrection of what must be can finally, fully, and irreversibly begin. You may be experiencing this as loss, as a string of endings you did not consciously choose, as relationships dissolving, as environments becoming unbearable, as a version of your life slowly unraveling beneath your hands, even as you work to hold it together. What you are living through is not a punishment. It is not evidence that you did something wrong or that you are broken beyond repair. It is initiation. It is the sacred and brutal process through which the most powerful version of yourself is being carved out of everything that the lesser version was clinging to. The secret power at the center of your Scorpio archetype is awakening right now, and it is demanding that your outer life finally, honestly, and completely match the depth of your inner world. Because for too long, there has been a gap between those two realities. On the inside, you are a force of extraordinary perception, emotional intelligence, spiritual sensitivity, and soul-level knowing. On the outside, you have been living inside a life that was built, at least in part, around accommodating others, around keeping the peace at the expense of your truth, around tolerating what you should have transformed long ago. There are things that have been permitted to remain in your life far past their natural end, connections that drain your energy without ever truly feeling it, environments that lower your frequency simply by existing around you, patterns rooted in old wounds that you have unconsciously mistaken for permanent features of your personality. The Scorpio in you has known about each of these things. You have felt the wrongness of them in your body, in your stomach, in that primal, wordless knowing that lives beneath every layer of rational thought and polite justification. The question was never whether you knew the truth. The question was always whether you were prepared to honor what you knew, even when honoring it meant loss, even when it meant standing alone, even when it meant dismantling a life you had worked hard to build. And now the universe is removing the question entirely. It is making the choice on your behalf because it knows something you are still learning to trust. Your destiny cannot survive inside the life you have been maintaining. And the most loving thing the universe can do for a soul of your depth and your power is to clear the path, by force if necessary, so that what is truly meant for you finally has room to arrive. Let us speak about the karma that is moving through your life right now, because what is happening to you, around you, and inside you during this period is not a surface level energetic fluctuation. It is not a passing phase that will resolve itself if you wait long enough, or pray hard enough, or stay patient enough. What is unfolding is a karmic settlement of profound magnitude, a reckoning that has been building across time, across relationships, across versions of yourself that you have already outgrown and buried. And it is now arriving at the moment of completion with the full weight of everything it has been carrying. Scorpio is the archetype in the human experience most intimately acquainted with this kind of karmic reckoning. You carry within you a memory that goes deeper than this lifetime. You feel the residue of unfinished things in a way that others simply cannot access. You know when something beneath the surface of a relationship is unresolved. You sense when an environment carries an energy that does not belong to the present moment, that is still feeding off something older, something wounded, something that was never properly acknowledged or released. That sensitivity is not a flaw. It is not evidence that you are too emotional or too perceptive for your own good. It is a spiritual instrument of the highest order. It is the mechanism through which your soul reads the invisible architecture of reality so that you can make choices aligned with your deepest truth rather than your most comfortable and familiar illusion. The karma moving through your life right now is delivering a specific and unmistakable message. The debts you have been paying that were never yours to carry are now considered settled. Let that land. There are people in your history, and perhaps still in your present, whom you have protected far more than they have ever protected you. There are wounds you have tended to in others, while leaving your own bleeding and unattended in the quiet hours of your private life. There are spaces where you gave your most sacred energy, your loyalty, your depth, your fierce and consuming love, to situations and souls that return that offering with pain, with confusion, with disappointment, with absence. And you stayed. Not because you were naive, not because you were blind, but because something in you believed that if you loved deeply enough, if you endured long enough, if you were patient and present and strong enough, something would finally change. That something would be earned, that your investment would eventually be honored. The karmic truth arriving now is both painful and liberating in equal measure. It says, that chapter is complete. That lesson has been fully absorbed by your soul. The debt is paid. The contract is finished. And you are no longer required to remain inside a fire simply because you have learned beautifully and at great cost how to survive it. What the universe is offering you in this moment is something that Scorpio very rarely grants itself permission to receive. Release without guilt. Departure without a lengthy explanation. Transformation that does not require anyone's understanding, approval, or blessing. You have spent so much of your energy trying to be understood by people who were never spiritually equipped to comprehend the full architecture of who you are. You have justified your depth, apologize for your intensity, and soften your truth to make it easier for others to digest. And in doing so, you have been slowly, quietly giving away the very power that was meant to be your greatest gift in this lifetime. The karmic clearing happening right now is asking you to stop, to reclaim every piece of yourself that you distributed to places and people that could not honor it, to gather your energy back into your own center with the same fierce intentionality with which you once poured it outward. This is not bitterness. This is not withdrawal. This is the sacred act of spiritual sovereignty, and it is available to you right now, in this moment, without conditions and without apology. The most powerful move on the board available to you in this phase of your life is not a confrontation. It is not a long, emotionally exhausting conversation designed to make someone finally understand what they cost you. It is something far simpler and far more powerful than that. It is the quiet, sovereign, unshakable decision to choose yourself, fully, completely, without waiting for permission from anyone who was never truly on your side. That is the secret the universe has been trying to place in your hands. And everything that has been dismantling around you has been clearing the space so that you finally have the room and the clarity to receive it. This project is not monetized on YouTube yet. Your voluntary support helps me continue creating content. Please support through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Here is the truth that the universe needs you to carry with you from this moment forward. The truth that sits at the very center of everything I have shared with you today. The massive destiny level change that is now being forced into motion in your life is not happening to you. It is not a punishment delivered by an indifferent universe that has decided to test your endurance one more time. It is happening for you. It is happening through you. It is happening because of the depth of the power you carry and because the life you are meant to be living, the one that matches your actual frequency and your true soul capacity, cannot be built on top of the structure that is currently being dismantled. The foundation had to be cleared, and the universe, which has always known your potential more clearly than you have been able to see it yourself, decided that the time for gentle nudges had passed. Scorpio does not experience transformation the way other souls do. You have likely noticed this across your own life, even if you have not had the language for it before now. You do not ease into change. You do not transition gradually from one version of yourself to the next with graceful, manageable steps. You descend. You go into the kind of inner darkness that most people spend the entirety of their lives carefully, expertly, and desperately avoiding. You sit inside the dissolution of things you loved. You move through losses that feel, in the deepest moments of the night, like they might actually be permanent. And then, when the descent has taken everything it came to take, something extraordinary happens. You rise. Not slightly improved, not a little more healed, completely transformed, carrying something ancient, something real, something forged in the exact pressure that would have broken a soul less equipped to handle the depths. That is your alchemy. And the transformation arriving in your life right now is the beginning of your most personal, most powerful, and most destiny-altering alchemical process yet. The universe is not being careless with you. Every piece of your life that is shifting, every connection that is fading, every illusion that is no longer able to hold its shape in your presence is being deliberately, intentionally, spiritually repositioned. Not to leave you with nothing, but to make space for everything that could never coexist with what was. There will be things that fall away in the days and weeks ahead. Let them fall. Do not chase what is leaving. Do not beg for what has already energetically withdrawn from your life. Do not pour your extraordinary capacity for love and depth into the effort of preserving what the universe has already decided to release on your behalf. A Scorpio who chases what is leaving is a Scorpio who is fighting against their own transformation. And your energy is far too sacred, far too rare and far too needed for the life ahead of you to be wasted holding together the life that is behind you. What is being cleared from your reality right now is being cleared because what is coming cannot enter the same space that the old life was occupying. The connection that matches your actual depth, the environment that supports your frequency instead of suppressing it, the version of your daily existence that feels less like survival and more like the full, unapologetic, magnetic expression of who you truly are at your most powerful and most unguarded. These things are not distant fantasies. They are the natural result of the clearing that is happening right now. They are what this transformation has always been building toward. You are being prepared for something that matches your real power, not the restrained version of yourself that learned to fit inside smaller spaces, not the carefully managed Scorpio who made peace with being partially seen. The full force of you, the one who moves through the world with the quiet, unmistakable authority of someone who has descended into their own darkness, faced everything they found there, and chose again and again with extraordinary courage to rise. That Scorpio is who the universe has been protecting, strengthening, and preparing through every difficult season you have endured. And that Scorpio is who is being called forward right now. This is not a small moment in your life. This is the moment, the kind that people reflect on years into a completely different and infinitely richer existence and say, that was the turning point. That was when I stopped holding on to what was destroying me and finally gave myself permission to become who I had always been. That was when everything that was meant for me had room to find me at last. The universe placed this message in front of you today because you are ready. Not perfectly healed, not completely certain, not free from fear or grief or the trembling vulnerability of standing on the edge of the unknown, but ready in the way that matters most, ready in your soul. And in the world of true transformation, soul readiness has always been and will always be the only permission you need.